to ride in the yellow vest, sort of gold vest, is paying such close. He's almost tripping over Kiplimo, the pacemaker there. Philemon Kiplimo, who is himself a fabulous half-marathon racer. In fact, I've got a sneaking feeling he will be the man to do the main job through the middle of the race and try and take them beyond halfway. He's run 58:11 for the half-marathon. Anything under 60 minutes, of course, is extreme world-class for the half-marathon. World half-marathon record is now under 58 minutes, but Kiplimo, well, he's one of the fastest all-time. In fact, the 8th fastest in history for the half-marathon. Perfect pacemaker for that man, Eliud Kipchoge.
Well, a good close-up there of just the concentration, and we've just got a chance to look at the technique of Eliud Kipchoge. Look at that, absolutely focused. Now, for the first time this year, delighted to say that we've got world record, a virtual world record line that we'll be introducing into the coverage at various intervals, and that is from our helicopter shot, so thank you, Klaus, for that. And at the moment you can see it's showing they are 13 seconds inside world record pace.
You can see the leading pack near the top of your picture. You can see the black vehicle right at the top of your picture, and the world record line is about 80 meters behind them, so they are way on schedule. In fact, at 5k after that 2:51 fifth kilometer, their projected finishing time is 2 hours and 4 seconds. At the moment, Kipchoge is going way faster than his splits back in 2018, and they go through 6k now. We'll update you with that split as soon as it comes up, but Kipchoge has got to be happy with this. He will be communicating with them. And at 6k, 17:05, that 6th kilometer at 2:52.
Yeah, it's lightning quick, and we refer back again to the experience in Vienna, the 1:59 project, sponsored by Ineos, and that was another huge step forward for Eliud Kipchoge. Not recognised, of course, for world record purposes, but simply asking the question, can a man, is it physically possible for somebody to run a marathon in under 2 hours? And on that day in Vienna, on a flat course, Eliud Kipchoge provided the answer. Yes, it is. And what does that do to his confidence? He's been there. He knows what it feels like. He knows how hard that was. Yes, he had lots of pacemakers. It was almost like a scientific experiment. This is very different. This is proper racing on a proper course and a proper race. But he knows what it feels like to have gone under 2 hours, and he can draw on that.
There you can see the second wave to right of picture, waiting to get underway. From the start line, of course, the glory of waves is that every few thousand people in each wave gets that feeling, that build-up, that climactic explosion of energy and emotion. They don't have to start way back, many thousands behind the one and only start. It's a much better way of giving more and more people that glorious feeling of their special moment. By the way, to break 2 hours, and there was so much talk about 2 hours being broken in a legitimate marathon, they would have to run 2:51 per kilometre, or to be exact, 2:50.6 per kilometre, and they are slightly outside of that at the moment. Chris, one thing I think is really significant about this is that Kipchoge has been here before. We all know he can run at this tempo. The funny thing is that Adola there, tucked in behind him, and Bellehu, who's there as well, they are in unknown territory. He is calling the shots here. They are taking a giant leap into the unknown. He's not. He's comfortable in at this tempo and in this environment.
Yes, he is. And, well, I'm just surprised to see Bellehu. It would be interesting to see where he is in the second half of the race. As you mentioned, he's more known as a half-marathon specialist, but he's still in there, tucking in alongside Adola. So they've gone over the Spree for the second time. They've just gone in front of the magnificent main railway station in Berlin, the Hauptbahnhof, and they're now making their way towards Friedrichshain. They'll cross the Spree for a second time. They go over twice in quick succession. So between 7 and 8 kilometres at the moment. Here they are going over the bridge once again.
By the way, for those of you wondering about the women's race, we will get to those pictures as soon as we can, but I can tell you they went through 5k in 16:21. That's a projected finishing time of 2:17:55, which would be a course record. That women's course record, remember, 2:18:11 by Gladys Chirono back in 2018, the same year that Kipchoge broke the world record. So they went through 5k in 16:21, and they're basically knocking out around 3:15, 3:17 per kilometre.
These three with the pacemakers, by the way, way in front. You can just see the chasing group, but already within 5 kilometres, the race has been blown apart. And as always, it's Eliud Kipchoge who is conducting proceedings. He is the master. This whole event this weekend has been built around him. As soon as the information came out of Iten that he was in great shape, then people started getting very excited indeed. And for some people, let's not get too carried away, but for some people it's not a question of if he breaks the world record today, his own world record, but by how much.
Well, to the right of picture, you can see the leading women. There are pacemakers there who will take them round at around 2:18 tempo. That is the idea. Just trying to see Keira D'Amato at the moment. I can't see the American, who is on such a consistent streak of great racing over 10K and half marathon. There she is, extreme right of picture. She's back about, probably about 25, 30 places back behind this massive group. And this is almost problematic for these leading women, because they will be moving around 2:18, 2:19 tempo. A lot of very good national standard runners know that, so latch on to the women's leaders and their pacemakers. And that is, well, it's not necessarily a great thing, because it means, as you can see, that our elite women are in a massive traffic. There's 30 people in shot in a very tightly bunched group negotiating these gentle turns. Shouldn't be a problem in theory, but that's a much bigger, more densely packed pack than I would like to see, Chris, after over 20 minutes of running. D'Amato smart, I think, to be staying out of it, just hanging back behind it. Why? You can expend energy without being aware of it by avoiding elbows and knees and heels all around you, a little bit of touching other athletes. You're having to be aware of your little space, your little pocket of air around you, and that saps energy almost subliminally.
Yeah, I agree. Very smart thinking by D'Amato, who was very relaxed in her press conference, asked if she felt pressure coming in as the leading runner, the fastest in the field. She said absolutely not. American record holder, she wants to try and beat her own record of 2:19.12. By the way, the person who held that for 16 years before then, Dina Castor, is also in the field today. So well done, Dina Castor. She's, hope she doesn't mind me saying, turns 50 early next year. And this will complete for Dina the complete set of world marathon majors. Berlin is the 6th and final marathon that she'd never done before. She was hoping to come in 2019, but got an ankle injury, so well done to Dina Castor. We'll hopefully see a picture of her later on.
Let me update you with the splits in this men's race. They've gone through 8K. The 7-kilometre point reached in 1954. That, wait for it, was a 2:48, the fastest split of the race so far. 8K, 5 miles in effect, if you like it in pounds, shillings and pence, 22:46. That was a 2:53, slightly more sensible indeed. Spot on what they need for the world record. So they are, as you can see, around 8.5 kilometres. And already, is that Adola beginning to struggle, Chris, with staying with the 3 pacemakers and Kipchoge, and with Adam Lakbeli, who in the purple shorts, they're just tucked in behind Kipchoge.
Yeah, Adola, a curious marathon runner. As we mentioned, he had that brilliant burst onto the scene back in 2017. Then he had a number of years of illness and injury, something of an enigma, really. He was due to race here, Adola, back in 2019. He withdrew quite late with injury. It's only his 5th marathon. So when you think that Kipchoge has got all those marathons in his legs over almost 2 decades, there's the difference in class. And to think that Kipchoge is still doing this at the age of 37, he turns 38 in November. And he's already saying quite openly that he wants to retain his Olympic title in Paris in 2024. And I just wonder, Tim, without wanting to retire the great man at all, yeah, we have to accept he's in the twilight of his career. He's still at his very best. There's a limited number of marathons that he's got left in him. Paris 2024, nobody's saying that will be his last, but he's also said that he wants to run Boston and New York. Drink station coming up. We might see another sight of Klaus. Here we go.
No, that's exactly right. Klaus-Henning Schulke, the 56-year-old Berliner.
Bottle Klaus.
Never has so much fuss been made about a man giving a drink to another man.
Indeed.
But there it is, Bash gets it right. Celebration, punches the air on the bike, and on to the next marker.
He's so enthusiastic. He absolutely loves it. Oh, steady, steady as you go.
Oh dear, I love it, I love it. There's a part of the support act for Kipchoge, who I like to describe as being the point of a big, powerful, beautifully sharpened lance, and behind him the shaft of the lance, the spear, is a massive team of personnel. Massa, coach, physiologists, training partners, family, of course. He has family, he goes back to at weekends, spends the week at the Kipchoge training camp. It's almost like a 5 to 9 Monday to Friday job, except, of course, he does train at weekends as well.
Yeah, his wife and 3 children. Grace, his wife, not here in Berlin this weekend. They'll be watching on television. Eliud was very keen to stress the importance of the team. Patrick Sang has put this fabulous team together, as Tim was just mentioning, and they are all here. Now then, here we are. World record splits at the moment after 9 kilometres, 22 seconds inside. We should stress that these are based on average times, the average split per kilometre achieved in 2018. But that's the situation so far, and we are approaching 10 kilometres.
And Chris, they've gone through 9K in 25:34, and they've hammered that 9th kilometre at 2:48 again. So the 7th kilometre at 2:48, the 9th kilometre at 2:48, those are the 2 quickest so far. The 8th kilometre was at 2:53, but maybe 1 or 2 of those seconds can be accounted for by the twists and the turns, the minute undulations. This is a fabulously flat course. This is why it's the world record course. What stands out as a bit of an anomaly is that the women's course record is, in inverted commas, only 2:18:11, when the world record is over 4 minutes faster than that by Bridget Kosgei in Chicago 3 years ago.
He looks so comfortable, doesn't he? And we'll expect to see him smile in the latter stages of the race, and he was asked about that in the press conference as well. Why do you continue to smile when it's hurting so much? And he said, well, it helps to relieve the pain, and you have to be able to push beyond the pain barrier. He also said, he likes the word push, he said, I want to push myself, and if you want to push yourself in a race like this, you have to come to Berlin. It's the only place to come. He could have gone to New York, he could have gone to London, but he was in good shape. All the numbers were coming back to suggest that he was running quickly, and he decided that the world record, beating his own world record, was more enticing than going to New York. Through 10K.
10K, another 2:48. Fabulously quick running. Now, during his world record in 2018, he went through 10K in 29:01. Look at that split. 28:23 at 10K for Eliud Kipchoge. 28:23. He is way, way ahead of the sort of virtual Eliud Kipchoge of 4 years ago.
Unbelievable. And just to put it into further context, when he did the sub-2 marathon 1:59 in Vienna, he went through 10K in 28:20. He's only 3 seconds outside that sub-2 pace.
And that sub-2 pace, of course, ended in 1:59:41.
Yeah.
So he is actually, give or take a second, on sub-2 minute 2 hour pace at the moment. This is frighteningly fast. I'm a little bit fearful. There's a tiny part of me that is fearful that this is too quick. 10K in 28:23. That is knocking on the door of world class for 10,000 meters on the roads in itself. And that is a projected finishing time, by the way, that 10K split of 28:23 of 1:59:41.
Wow. Which happens to be exactly what he did in Vienna. It's almost, I almost don't breathe at the moment. There's so much to do. 30 kilometers still to go. But Kipchoge, who's looking very lean, you can always tell when an athlete's in great shape. The cheekbones are sunken, there's not an ounce of excess, anything on him anywhere. He's like a well-oiled machine.
You have to assume, Chris, that Eliud Kipchoge there in those red short tights and the white vest, tucked in behind the stripe pacemakers, is feeling comfortable. But the 2 athletes with him are both in unknown territory. They must be wondering how long can they hang on to this, as we see that elite field get underway earlier on. That was obviously half an hour ago. They must be wondering, and Damlak Belihu and Gia Adola, whether or not they should start looking at the smarter strategy and be easing back on the throttle, because they are moving at a tempo which is more or less on the nose of 2 hours, and that is way, way quicker than either of them have run.
Yeah, and I think we're just starting to see the first signs of Gia Adola not struggling with this pace, but maybe just easing off. This is into a territory that neither of these runners has had before. The focus and concentration of Kipchoge, absolute. Patrick Sang has done a brilliant job. They've got such a close relationship together. That mantra of run, eat, sleep, and repeat, and repeat.
Let's go back to the women's race now. They are approaching 10K. And just looking at Chepkirui there, Maureen Chepkirui, the 24-year-old, who is a 2:20 athlete. That was in Amsterdam just last October. This year, she ran 2:21 to win in Enschede. She won by 2 minutes 43 seconds, by the way. There she is in all blue, left of picture. Looking for other athletes in there. Still no sign. Ukyo D'Amato is at the back of the group, or she was when we last saw them about 10 minutes ago, but doesn't Maureen Chepkirui look comfortable? In her second marathon at the age of 20, she ran 2:27. She took to marathon racing like a duck to water. This is her 10th marathon. Plenty of experience built up already, despite her tender years. She ran 3 marathons last year, did Vivian Chepkirui. And she's actually 28 years old, just double-checking her age. Her 3rd marathon, this is. Easy to confuse her with Maureen Chepkamoy. Also in this lineup, Vivian Chepkirui. Best of 2:20.59 from that women's win in Vienna last year. And there we are, 10K, 32:36 for the leading women.
Well inside course record. 32:44, Gladys Chirono back in 2018. So women through 10K, men on their way towards 15K. And at the moment, if you're just joining us, we could be seeing something very special indeed unfolding on the streets of Berlin today. World record is very much on. It's on.
Well, they've gone through 11K in 31:10. That was at 2:49. So they're beginning Kipchoge and his little pack as they pass Strausberger Platz to knock out sub-250 kilometers consecutively. 2:48 was the 9th kilometer, 2:48 the 10th kilometer, 2:49 the 11th kilometer. It is science fictional running, this. Much faster than we expected. I thought there would be less caution than in 2018, but enough caution to hit the world record by a few seconds. But this is going to obliterate the world record, and if he's not careful, Eliud Kipchoge here today could yet run a sub-2-hour marathon.
It's extraordinary. There is Adola at the back, just about keeping on the coattails of Belihu. And Damlak Belihu, the 23-year-old, he's the surprise package who's still in there. By rights, he has no business to be still running at this pace. So they're through 12 kilometers. They're going down Lichtenberger Straße towards mile 13, or kilometer 13, I should say, over the Spree again.
Chris, I can tell you that the 12th kilometer, they reached that point in 33:58, was the quickest of the race, 2:47. And that gives a projected finishing time of 1 hour, 59 minutes, 26 seconds. Much quicker than in his Vienna run back in 2019.
Quite astonishing. Worth reflecting that Kipchoge already owns 3 of the 4 fastest times in history. The fourth fastest was in Tokyo earlier this year. That's his only race so far this year. Averaged at 2:54 pace. There is Adola just certainly starting to drop off the back. And that 2:02.40 was despite Kipchoge taking a wrong turn early in the race, which cost him, people reckon, around 10 seconds. Adola, though, in pursuit. There's his personal best set here on debut, 2:03.46. Comes from a village called Adola in the Oromia region of Ethiopia.
His features don't give anything away, do they? Although that sort of backward lean of his head always makes him look a little bit stretched, a little bit tired. Undone like Eliud there, tucked in second place. He is a much quicker half-marathon racer than Eliud Kipchoge, although Kipchoge, frankly, hasn't really delved into the world of half-marathon running properly for many years. Indeed, that is a trend amongst the elite marathon runners, both men's and women's sides these days. Many of them don't really bother with a half marathon, the marathon runners. They focus on the main distance. They do what needs to be done in training and in tempo runs, hard tempo runs with training companions, but they don't interrupt their schedules, do all the long flights and traveling that is necessary to get to a half marathon venue. And they focus on the main goal. Interesting, Chris, to see Adola there begin.